Ambassador Huckabee, great to be with you.
Chris, it's a pleasure. You and I have known each other for, I can't remember how many years, but it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
We've seen each other here in Jerusalem on so many occasions, and it's a real delight to be with you in the studio.
Well, it's great to have you here permanently, at least for the next few years, here in the land. When President Trump called you, he didn't ask you. You said he told you. What did that mean for you to become ambassador to Israel?
Well, it was a surprise because I had never had a conversation with him about it. I didn't ask him for it. I knew there were other people who had suggested it, but I didn't think about it because I was busy living my life and living a good life. But when he called, it came out of the clear blue just a few days after the election. And as I've often recounted, he didn't ask me, would you consider, hey, would you think about, or have you ever thought about? No, it was, Mike, you're going to be my ambassador to Israel. Just as simple as that. And it is truly, for me, an Isaiah moment. I just felt that it was, here am I, Lord, send me. Because it was the one thing that he would have or could have asked me to do that I couldn't say no to.
And you come at one of the most critical times in the history of Israel. One of the greatest threats it's facing is Iran. Right now they're talking about just revealing that they've been doing nuclear implosion tests, and we seem to be at a tipping point. Do you see a possibility of either Israeli or a U.S. Attack on Iran's nuclear facilities?
Never want to make a prediction about what could happen or even should happen. That's kind of beyond the portfolio of an ambassador. But I think President Trump has been crystal clear. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And he's made it also clear throughout all the negotiations, they can have no enrichment. They have to totally dismantle their nuclear aspirations for weaponry. And whether or not they're going to agree to that, they've steadfastly said they will not. I don't know that we take Iran at its word. They normally don't keep theirs very well in the 46 years that they've ruled that country. But I would take President Trump very seriously when he says they will not have a nuclear weapon.
One of the other threats facing Israel is the war in Gaza. Just about a month ago, you announced that there was going to be a new humanitarian aid program, now called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And it's been in operation on the ground for a couple of weeks now. How would you assess how it's done so far?
You know, I think all things considered, the environment that it's having to work in, it's working out very successfully. Every day something is learned. We're scaling up. We started with 4 distribution sites. Those are now expanding to 8. We hope to have even more. We went there with the mission that the president gave us, which was twofold. 1, get humanitarian aid to people. 2, keep it out of the hands of Hamas. Hamas had been taking the aid that had been going in, whether it was UN trucks or relief organizations. They would hijack the trucks, steal the food, put it in warehouses, and then sell it to the people at twice the market price instead of giving it to them, which was the whole idea of humanitarian relief. One of the sort of anecdotal things that's happened from the people coming to get their food from GHF and this new delivery system is they say, this is the first time we didn't have to pay for the food, which is very revealing because what Hamas was doing was they were taking the food, using it to pay their soldiers, more terrorism, using it to buy more weaponry, to murder more people. So when the UN has said, we like the old system better, what, you liked that Hamas was stealing the food? You liked that they were selling it to the people that needed it? And then liked that the profits from that they were using to kill people? I'm not sure why you would like that.
And what happened when this distribution started was that the media reported something that Hamas said, that there were dozens that had been killed. You wrote a response to that. What did you say?
It was scathing, but I felt the media had been recklessly irresponsible in reporting something based solely on reports from Hamas itself. That's reckless when your source is Hamas and followed up by Al Jazeera, which is Hamas-centered. And you run with the story saying all these people have been killed. We had high eyewitness accounts on that Sunday that this supposedly happened. There was absolutely no violence, no chaos. There were no casualties, no shootings, nothing. It simply did not happen. And that was firsthand. We could verify it. And yet the New York Times and CNN and the Associated Press and BBC all ran with the story. Washington Post did too. Over the next few days after we pushed back, some of them started kind of changing their story and saying, well, one source said, others denied it. Washington Post pulled theirs down completely. So it was an affirmation that they went out and They shot the gun before they aimed it.
Good, good way to put it. Also, Gideon's Chariot is going on. It's a military strategy to really control the Gaza Strip and push Hamas into smaller and smaller areas. But a lot of people, even since the beginning of the war, have said Israel is committing a genocide. What do you say to that?
They're doing a lousy job at genocide. If they wanted to do genocide, they could drop a few bombs and everybody would be dead. So the fact that they are surgically going into Gaza, trying to get the civilians moved out of harm's way, they announced to them with leaflets, with paging, with cell phone text, with loudspeakers, and they put it on every media outlet and social media and say, if you're in this area, get out. We're going to attack it. Now, who else does that on all of the earth? Not even the U.S. gives that kind of warning to civilians to try to protect them. But what does Hamas do when they hear this is the target? They round up their civilians and they put them right in front of the target because they want there to be casualties. They're not concerned about their people. They need the media attention that Israelis have killed civilians. The truth is, Hamas is responsible for the civilians that have been killed in Gaza. They could have ended this war on October the 8th of 2023. The carnage, the horrors of Gaza are in the hands solely of Hamas.
There had been talk where President Emmanuel Macron had talked about declaring a Palestinian state. He seems to have walked that back a little bit. What was your response?
Well, at first, when he said, you know, we're going to have a meeting with the Saudis and we're going to have a big UN confab and we're just going to unilaterally declare a Palestinian state. Well, my response to that was, well, if the president of France would like to have a Palestinian state, I suggest that he host one on the French Riviera. He has that property. That's his. He can do what he wants. But for him to impose something on a sovereign nation like Israel and tell them what they're going to do, I thought not only was inappropriate on its face, but ill-timed. Israel's in a war for its life. They've got Iran threatening on one side. The Houthis are raining down interballistic missiles constantly on this land. You and I go to the shelter regularly here because of that. And then you've got the war in Gaza. So for Macron to come out and make not a suggestion, but a demand, I thought was absurd. Interestingly, as you said, he's walked it all back. Now he says, oh, well, these conditions would have to be met, the very conditions that will never be met. So I think it's a lot of bluster.
Yeah. You know, there has been talk, you know, in the last couple of months that maybe there's some daylight between Israel and the United States with the Houthis, with Iran, with Gaza. You're right there in the middle. What do you say?
That's not true. It's been a rumor. What I've said, and I really believe this is the hard fact, there is no breakup. America has friends, it has allies, it only has one partner. And by partner, I mean the relationship is like a marriage. It is so tight. And that's Israel. And the reason is because we share intelligence at a level with which we share with no other country. We share military capacity, hardware, and strategy in a way we don't share with anybody else. For both of our benefits, we do this, and it's a true partnership. And the reason the marriage is not about to break up is because neither side could afford to pay the alimony if we ever got a divorce.
Well, that's a good way of putting it, too. You have a yellow ribbon on your coat there. Yeah. What does it mean to you?
It's a reminder that we still have 20 living hostages, 58 hostages in all. We want them all to be home, living or dead. It means a lot to those families, even the ones who know their loved one is deceased, to bring their bodies home for decent burial. Chris, people ask me, what do I want to achieve here? The first thing, I want to take this ribbon off. I want to take this pin off my jacket and never put it on again, put it away forever and ever, because when I do that, it means every hostage is home. So as long as I'm wearing it, we still have hostages that Hamas is holding and torturing. I want this to be off my attire because I want Hamas to let those hostages out.
Judea and Samaria, do you think the U.S. would support Israel declaring sovereignty over the biblical heartland?
We don't really do anything in that regard at this point other than saying it is not a violation of law for Jewish people to live in Judea and Samaria. That's been the Trump administration policy. Beyond that, it's really Israel's decision. It's another one of those areas where we're not going to get into dictating what they can or can't do. That's not our job. It's really not even our job of what they should and shouldn't do. It's our job to work with the decisions they make, and to, if asked, we certainly would provide advice or assistance, but never to dictate to them. There was a report that one of the ministers in the Knesset had said that I was possibly treating them like a protectorate. I'm thinking, no, that never happened, nor will it ever happen. That's not the role of the U.S. It's not the role of the U.S. ambassador.
Yeah. After October 7th, how important is it for Christians in general and the U.S. to stand with Israel?
More important than ever. They don't have many friends. There's a long line of people who are parading the streets of the United States screaming from the river to the sea. They have no idea what that even means. What it means is the annihilation of Israel and the murder of every Jew. Christians have a responsibility, I believe, to stand with the state of Israel because it's biblical. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. But I think we also have a responsibility as Christians because our faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. Without Judaism, there is no Christian faith. So when Christians say, why do you support Israel? How could I do anything less?
Boulder, Colorado, Washington, D.C., 2 anti-Semitic attacks. As an American, how concerned are you about the rise of anti-Semitism in the U.S.?
I'm mortified by it. I'm absolutely mortified by it because it signals that there is a breakdown in the culture of America when people think that killing a Jew is okay, that it is justified by anything. It is not. It is a vile act of sheer evil. And it's not a horizontal act of the left or the right. It is a vertical issue of good and evil, of right and wrong, of heaven versus hell. And those are hellish actions that every American, even non-faith-oriented Americans, need to condemn without any ambiguity.
Yeah, throughout your lifetime, you brought thousands of people here to Israel. How important is it for people to come here themselves?
Chris, it's the most single important thing that people can do if they want to understand not only what Israel is all about, but why it matters to them as an American. Coming here with eyes open and ears open. Nobody has to indoctrinate you. Nobody has to try to tell you what you're seeing or what you're feeling. You will see it. You'll feel it. And I would say that for all of the lies that are told about Israel, it's an apartheid state, that it's a genocidal state. Best way to overcome that is to come here and see it for yourself. When people say it's apartheid, I say, oh, really? Are you aware that there are Muslims in the Knesset that help rule Israel? Oh, that's not true. I say, oh, yes, it is. Look it up. Did you realize there is a Muslim on the Israeli Supreme Court, and that it was a Muslim judge who sentenced a president and a prime minister to prison? Oh, that didn't happen. Oh, yes, it did. So this is nonsense. A lot of the lies that are told about Israel and how it operates and how it functions and how it works, I just say, come, see for yourself. I don't have to tell you what you will see. You'll see it. If you go home and you think that it's an apartheid state that's committing genocide, be sure to explain that to me. But I think you'll go away with a whole understanding that this is the one democracy in the entire part of the region, of the world, where there's free speech, free elections, people choose their government, and by the way, boy, do they ever complain about it. But that's the sign of a healthy democracy, that people can speak freely, criticize their government, and they're not going to be in jail tomorrow because of it.
How does your faith influence your role as ambassador?
It grounds me. It gives me an understanding that this is a very special place on earth, that there is a geopolitical equation here that is primarily the role of the ambassador. But one cannot understand Israel, one cannot even understand this part of the world without recognizing that the Jews have a connection to this land that go back 3,800 years, all the way to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You can't understand even the geopolitical without understanding that. If you try to separate it, you'll miss it every time. So the reality of this land, and those who say, well, the Jews really didn't have anything to do with it. Well, archaeology is proving them quite wrong, because every archaeological discovery, whether it's in the city of David or Shiloh, the ancient city where the tabernacle was first built in Hannah Parade, doesn't matter where it is, Hebron, the tomb of the patriarchs, over and over again, the archaeology affirms, yes, the Jews have had a connection to this land all the way back to Abraham on Mount Moriah. It's foolish, it's inappropriate, it's utterly false to say that you can divorce the land from the people, the purpose, and the plan God had for the Jewish people.
Final question, Ambassador. I have had so many Israelis and Americans just thrilled at your appointment, as they say, for such a time as this. And people want to know, how can they pray for you?
Well, pray that there will be wisdom that not only that I will have, but that America's leaders will have, and that Israeli leaders will have, and that the leaders of the rest of the Middle East will have. We're on the verge of what could be a transformational moment in the Middle East with a realignment. More countries joining the Abraham Accords, more countries normalizing their relationships to Israel. It's fragile. I'm not going to tell you it's a done deal, but there are things on the horizon. Pray that there would be not only the peace of Jerusalem, but peace throughout the region.
Ambassador Huckabee, thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.